Hello, Steve Slack here, and welcome to my tutorial 4 in the building blocks tutorial set. This one's called multiple ifs. So let's go straight into our normal screen, make a little bit more space in our scripts. Okay, we're on our sprite, and the first thing we're going to do is have a quick look at variables, actually, because now that we're getting into more complex conditional programming, we need to just understand what variables do. Now, I'm sure that everyone has an understanding of variables, and basically here we have another interesting and varied name. In sense, we have 4 different variable blocks that we can use. Now, the 2 bottom ones, show and hide, are basically to do with the screen. As you can see, we've got test variable showing at the moment. When hide variable is encountered in the program, it hides it, and when show variable is encountered, it shows it. So that's quite obvious. So in effect, we've got 2 variable blocks that we use while we're programming in sense. The first one is set, and the second one is change. As you can see, we've got test variable displayed there, so let's just quickly go through how this works. Set test variable to 1, run it, and it's set to 1. Change it by 1, and it changes to 2. That can be a positive or a negative number. So if we make that -1 and run it, you'll see it takes 1 off, and that can go into negative values as well. Okay, so that's how variables are changed and set within sense. A variable is basically a position in memory where a value is stored, and the variable name points to that position. Now, we don't need to know too much about memory locations and things like that, but all we need to remember is that whatever we set in a variable will stay in that variable until either we change it or set it to something else. We can call that variable at any time, and it can be used in the sprite in which it's set at the moment, which is our sense sprite. Or if we had another sprite, I'll just duplicate this one. If you look here, there's another test variable. You might think it's exactly the same as the other one, but if we click that, you'll see that we have sense test variable 1 and sprite 1 test variable 1. So obviously the name of the sprite, sense in this instance, or sprite 1, plus the name of the variable tells us where that variable is in the programming environment. Now, from sprite 1, we can actually, using the inputs, using the of command, we can actually access the test variable of sense. So if you set the test variable for sprite 1 to 4, like that, and then we can look at the sprite 1 test variable is 4 and the sense test variable is 1. If we say this variable here, this test variable of sense, from this sprite, you'll see it says 1 because it's looking at the test variable of sense and not the test variable of sprite 1. So as you can see, you can call variables from different sprites, but you cannot edit that variable from this sprite. You can't change test variable of sense from sprite 1. Okay, and so I think that's enough coverage on variables for now. I don't see us needing to use much more. The other thing we're going to use in this particular part, which we've used before, is the comparison. And basically, we're using an equals comparison for the multiple ifs part of the tutorial. And that is basically what we do: is we take our test variable, we put it in the left-hand side, and we can compare any value. And that is what the equals comparison does. Go to our controls. Okay, so let's build our multiple if. So basically, we're going to go to controls, and I'm going to get the green flag out and an if, and we're going to go to our variables. We've already got test variables set. We're going to set another variable. We're going to call it something adventurous. How about colour? There we go. So now we have two variables within our sense sprite. Let's just get rid of this one. These. Okay, there's our variables. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to set our variable, our colour variable. So we go to set colour, and we're going to set the colour to grey. And then we're going to put our ifs into here, and we're going to duplicate a few just so that we can have multiple ifs. If I can ever do that, that is. Okay, so 4 ifs should do it. And then the last thing we're going to do, we're going to put our results on the screen. Okay. Separate to this, in from our variables, we're going to set test variable to a value. Okay, so using our operators, like we said before, we're going to take an equals operator, we're going to duplicate that and put it in there. Duplicate that and put it in there. Put it in there. Nope, don't delete it. That'd be silly. Just drag those two in. Okay. So we're going to be testing our test variable, surprisingly enough. So we'll put that into there, and we'll duplicate that and put that into there, into there, and into there. And we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go to our say, and we're going to pull in another operator, which is an append string. It's quite a simple little piece of code. All it does is it appends one string of characters with another string of characters. Just to show that working, we'll put into the first string the hat is, and append it with our colour. So as you can see, we're going to just basically say at the end what the colour of our hat is. Okay, with multiple ifs, all we do is say if test variable equals 1, we set our colour. Oops, I did mention this before, if you do a lot you get them all, so let's get that out of the way. Duplicate that and put it in there, and in there, in there, and in there. Yellow, blue, and green. So if you look at it, it's pretty obvious what we do here. We when the script is run, and it's run only once, there's no loop in here, we set the colour to grey to start with. Now that would be our default colour, and then we set our colour based on the test variable. So if we run this piece of script right now, you see that we're told the hat is red because the test variable is set to 1. If we set the test variable to 3 and then run it, the hat is blue. And if we set the test variable outside of our test range, for instance it's 99, then we've set a default colour to grey, so when we run it, it'll say the hat is grey. So that's basically ifs and variables, multiple ifs and variables. Thank you very much, and goodbye.